Okay. Can anybody hear me? Can you see or hear me? Because I cannot see it. I'm going to type in the chat and see if anybody answers. Because I do not see this changing at all. I don't understand this. All right, so I'm waiting to see if anybody can see me or hear me. And I'm not understanding why this is not working. You removed your camera from the stream, not touch your audience. How do we help her, Nancy? Okay, so can you see me at all? Can you see me? I don't understand why it's showing that I'm live. And my volume is on, but it still says that it's waiting for me. And I don't understand why it's doing that. Eddie can see you and hear you. You can't see and hear us, evidently. I just want to make sure that you can see me. I'm trying to find it on YouTube to make sure it was a live feed, and I can't see anything changing from the cover photo. So can't see or hear anything. Marie says can't see or hear anything. Eddie can see you and hear you. Okay. I'm going to refresh and see. This is very troubling. I can hear you and see you. Okay, Nancy says she can hear and see me, so I'm not going to do anything. Okay, so I'm trying to look at chat in two different places. So I'm assuming. Okay, so Marie says she cannot see or hear me. That's funny because I can see and hear you. So Eddie, type in the YouTube chat for them to refresh their browser and see if that, or I can do that, I guess. Refresh your browser. Okay. I just hate to go further if it's not working. Because on my end, it still says that it's waiting for me. All good now. See and hear you. Thank you, Lord. Oh my gosh. It's been a crazy few days, and this doesn't help. Okay, so I'm just going to go on what you guys are saying. Good evening. How are you? Tonight, I just wanted to know I wasn't going to stay on too long because of my knee injury. It's hard for me to sit in one position too long without putting ice on it. So, okay, Virginia, you can see and hear me. Awesome. Okay, welcome, welcome. So if you have any questions regarding glass or ceramic, be sure and put those in the chat. I am by myself tonight, so I will try to answer those. And just let me know if you have any, okay? Anybody have any specific questions? Otherwise, I did have someone call in, and they really just wanted to know what is a good way to do like a leaf, and how do I get crisp, clean lines. Part of that is from doing it for years, a practice, definitely. Um, does anybody have any questions? I do believe all of us are on YouTube. Yeah, everything's on YouTube. Um, I shared the link to Facebook, but that doesn't mean, I mean, I'm not looking at Facebook. So I'm going with just YouTube right now with one until I can make sure that my internet is a little better than it has been. And that may be a while. So, um, anyway, okay. So I'm going to hide that. By the way, your butterfly was beautiful. Wasn't that cool? It actually turned out, I messed up the clay portion of it, so don't tell anybody, okay? Well, I think I told you guys. Anyway, let me grab the piece real quick. Um, 1 second. That is actually, I am going to do that, Eddie, on Clay Share Day on the 15th on Clay Share. So that's kind of exciting. Hopefully that'll be exciting for you guys. All right, let me go to my overhead camera. Get my volume here. All right, move that. So yeah, this was pretty exciting. It was a piece that I messed up as far as the clay, but I hated to waste it, and I was pretty proud of my foot that I made. So that was kind of nice. So this is what I'm going to be demonstrating on Clay Share Day with Jessica. Okay. And I think I have a 45-minute slot, so that should give us enough time. I actually did this piece, most of it, well, with the exception of the antique, the butterfly and the banding area on, let me think, did I do it? I did it on 04 bisque, I believe. And then I used the diamond core tool to create my lines on the butterfly, which is kind of neat. You can carve in. Okay, Marie. Yeah, I hope you're excited about that. And I'm going to do a couple of different versions of this, but some of it's done. You could do it in the greenware or bisque state, and then come back definitely. I think I did it in the greenware. Then this one I did the bisque because you're able to antique on the edge. Okay, so that's that piece. One of the other pieces that I did and had showed, I don't remember if I even showed the final of it. This is using a stencil, which is kind of cool. So the stencil is put down on the wet clay, rolled into it, and then I applied the color. And I put a little short video on my Facebook page showing you kind of how I did that. Okay. Hey, from Arizona. I'm not going to try to pronounce your name. Is it well, I will try. Laquanda? Is that right? Close? Anyway, these are all color concentrates. These are all color concentrates. Okay. So all the decoration on this one was done on the wet clay, leather hard and wet. And then I have one other one that is this guy, which is kind of exciting. This is another stencil also, okay? And then a form that matches it. These are by Sharon Hoppy, and she doesn't live that far from me. So I was up there one day, and she graciously gave me a couple of things, and this happened to be one set that she gave me, so I was testing it out. So I was close. Okay. Okay. You never know how things are pronounced. Okay. All right, and we will have some specials going on during Clay Share Day also. So this is done actually with our color strokes. Now, I don't have the exact colors back here, but the color strokes come in a tall, slender bottle. Actually, the bottle has changed again because it would be more of this style of a bottle. During COVID, it was hard to get things, so we have some still left in this bottle, some in the new bottles. These are on the back of your color sheets that I send you with your orders. The color strokes are listed, and we have 61 colors. This is the 634, 635, and 632. So there's two pinks and like a cranberry color. So I was trying to find pinks that were going to hold at a cone 5, cone 6, and these did great. All of these have Jessica's glaze over them, the 2167. There goes my wallet. You're cute, Eddie. I hate to introduce those, but everybody's struggling with pinks and purples. And so I thought, well, maybe I need, and I'm going to do more testing before Clay Share Day. I'll have some examples and test tiles to show you. Okay. So those are the things that I've kind of had going. Wanted to show you those. All right. So we had a question about leaves. What is a good way or a quick way? Um, she wanted to know, how does she get a nice crisp line? So my solution to her was possibly base coat in. Now this is low fire, or excuse me, earthenware. This is like an 017 that I fired this to. It's an old piece that I had left over from a retreat. Okay. But the same principle would apply to your cone 6, cone 5. You would just fire to, you could do it on the greenware stage before it goes in for your bisque firing, or you could do it in the bisque state. Okay. And you can do that on your earthenware also. So a lot of you got the Sumi brushes. This is the small Sumi. You can just come in and literally base coat in that leaf. And the Sumi brushes are really nice because you can get a nice smooth application. Just keep brushing it till you get a smooth application. Okay. And I'm just going to jump over here and do a couple of them just to show you a couple of techniques tonight, because I said I was just going to answer questions, and then when she asked me that on the phone, I was like, okay, that is a question. Let's talk about it. So the smoother you can get to base coat that in, the better. Multiple thin coats are better than one thick heavy coat. This is CC 160 that I'm applying right now. Okay, key lime. I've got all three of my greens out, 160, 161, and 162. See how smooth and easy that is? Just a nice smooth coat. The more coats you put on, the darker it's going to be. Can you do brush strokes? Absolutely. But I know a lot of you, she's like, I just want to be able to paint a nice clean line like you get. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. Hopefully it will aid you in doing some of these. Okay, nice and smooth. I'm going to leave a couple of the smaller ones for some actual brush strokes to show you another, which I've showed before, but we'll do it again. Repetition is how we learn, right? Repetition. And naturally, the phone was ringing. Okay. So did anybody think of any questions that you had regarding any of the products? Nobody? Marie, you got any questions? Nancy, we got two Nancys on tonight. So just a nice smooth application. Okay. I'm going to rinse that brush. That needs to dry. But while it's drying, I'm going to show you a couple of smaller leaves. So I'm going to jump to this is my Kolinsky 5200, number 8. It's a square shader, or some people call it a flat. Always dampen your brush before you use it. Blot it out on a paper towel. It's just like washing your hair. You need to put water on it before you put the color on it. Okay. I'm going to fully load with the lightest green, which is the 160. Put the writing of the brush towards me, and I'm going to corner load in the 162. Just watching how easy it is to make this. Just watching how easy you make it look. I know it took you years. It does take practice. So get you some watercolors and, at the dollar store, and some cheap paper while you're there, sketch pad or something, and just do it with just water and kind of get that feel. So I'm going to corner back in the lighter green, corner again in the dark, and I'm going to blend quickly, flip my brush over, blend quickly. So dark green next to dark green. You don't go on top of it, because if you go right on top of that, then you've got dark green on both sides. Okay. Now, you can at this point turn the brush over if you want the dark green one direction or if you want it another, it doesn't matter. I'm going to leave the dark green on the same side so the writing of the brush is still towards me. Okay, and you can press and kind of lift and kind of wiggle, and you've got another style of a leaf. You can come back and you can do the other side the same way. I would reload. I was going to bring the camera closer, but I don't think I will. Okay. Let me move that comment out of the way so you guys can see. All right, so you could have the dark to the inside, you can have the dark to the outside. Okay, I'm going to do that one again over here. So I'm going to re-corner in the light green, corner in the dark green, blend, blend, flip it over, blend, blend again. And this time I'm going to put the dark, I'm flipping my brush over, I'm going to put the dark to the inside. So I'm pressing and lift up. So see, it's like a little C, press and lift up, press and come out. So you can do them in individual strokes, or you can do them all in the same motion. Either way works. So sometimes it's easier to do them singly when you first start. So press and lift, press and lift, press and come out to the chisel edge. Okay, so that's another way. See, over here you've got the dark to the outside. Here's the dark to the inside. It's really personal preference. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm using color concentrates, Marie. Yeah, color concentrates. And I am on earthenware, but the same principles would apply on your cone 5, cone 6 clay. Okay. I'm reloading again. So I re-cornered in light, re-cornered in dark. Now, if I want this one just to be one single stroke, I can start. So think of it as a Y. Okay. And I'm going to just start and press and come off. So press, pull, lift, 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 and come off that chisel edge. Nice and slow. Remember, the airplane does not go to the end of the runway and stand straight up. It gently glides off of that runway, or it should. We can laugh about that, right? Hey, Marlene, thanks for joining. I am by myself tonight, so no Jenny to help answer questions. So if I miss something, be sure and reiterate and put it back in there again. Okay, so I'm going to just add another couple of these single strokes over here. So I'm going to imagine that my stem is here. I'm going to press, pull, lift, lift, and slide off. So my brush did not move as far as turning it. The motion of a brush stroke is color. We've got two colors on the brush. We got 160 and 162. Color pressure, the amount of pressure determines how large that stroke is going to be. I'm going to come over here and do another one. So if I don't press down very hard, see the difference? You've got a smaller stroke. And I can do the same here and do a smaller stroke. So color, pressure, and motion. And I'm just grabbing what's on my palette there and just picking that up. Now I'm trying to make these look similar, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to flip my brush over, press, pull, and lift. So see, press and lift. I'm not turning. I'm not hooking the brush. Would you load your brush the same way if you wanted to blend on part of your stencil? So you're, Eddie, what you're asking is if you want to put two colors on your brush and be able to use the stencil underneath, you can, but I still think I would probably go with a solid and then come back and add that second color, would be my gut feeling. I would have to try it to see, but I'm thinking no. Unless it's the Sumi brush, and then yes, you could on the Sumi brush. Now, I stuck my finger in that one. Did you guys see that? Oh, well. All right, now watch what you can do. We've got those based in, right? And you may come back and you say, Paula, I'm always pulling the color off when I'm putting some on. Well, you can block it in, and then you can come in with the double load, and maybe you just go down one side, and you've got a very nice leaf. I'm going to load with what's in my palette. Now I'm going to keep the dark, I'm turning it because I want the dark to be to the inside of this plate. Press down, lift, 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 and out to a point. Okay, so there's another way that you can do it. You can also take your Sumi brush, put that light green in your brush, and this is pretty much, I think, what you're asking, Eddie, other than I don't have a stencil down. But if you had rolled the stencil into your clay so it impressed that image and you were working before you took the stencil off, you probably could get away with it. So I fully loaded in the same light green that I base coated in. I'm going to just tip into the dark green. Okay, it's just on the very tip of it. See that? And now I can come over here and I can do what I call my Sumi Shade. So I can sit it down and pat, 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 and I'm working around that. Now this I think you could do, Eddie. Okay? So, because a lot of times when you start pushing down, you'll end up lifting off that first coat. That was one of the reasons I said, let's put a coat on there. It's just a reassurance. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so let's do this one. So tucking the color in where it goes, sit it down, mush, 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 walk it to the right and walk it to the left. Okay, so that's another way you can do it. So there's always more than one way to accomplish something. So the way I do it may be too difficult if you're just starting and you haven't done a lot of stroke work. This is something that I think anybody could do, and it looks just as good. Hey, Sharon, how are you? I am by myself, so if you have questions, be sure and put them in the chat, and I'll keep looking up and answering as I can, okay? Thank you. I just had a new project and idea because the last two cracked before they went. Oh no. So the clay actually cracked on you? That's a bummer. I had some of that happen too. You know, in Texas, it's so darn hot. Now I'm going to go back to that square shader, the number 8 square shader, Kolinsky, fully loaded with the light green, cornered into the laurel. And I'm going to repeat what I did over here. Okay. So the dark was to the inside. So I'm going to press down, press all the way down, pull, pull, lift, 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 and come off to a point. So don't get in a hurry because I'm not doing it in a hurry. I do it just like this when I paint by myself and I'm not on camera, okay? Same way. Now I'm going to turn it and I'm going to push this stroke. 90% of the time I pull my strokes. Now I've got a little bit of ridge of color here, so I'm just going to kind of brush that out so it's not too thick. Okay. You can do the same on these, or we can add that little bit of a wiggle to it if you want a little bit more of a wave. So continue to corner, corner load. And let's do this one to the outside. So I'm getting started. Press, lift, and come off. Just a little bit of a wave. You think you like the new idea the better way? Okay. Awesome. Hi, Marie from Phoenix. Like I said, I'm by myself tonight, so bear with me as far as if you have any questions, put them in the chat, okay? It can be on ceramics, it could be on glass, it could just be a product question, whatever you want to ask, okay? I will practice. You make it look so easy. But remember, I've been doing this for, gosh, brush strokes, I've probably been doing 35, 40 years. So You've got to take that into consideration, but hopefully I can show you in baby steps. So I'm just pressing and lift up, press and lift up. I'm coming back to the center vein. Do you see how that wet color is right along the center vein? So my brush, and I'm pivoting as I go up. So I'm pressing and come out, press and come back, press and come back, press and come out. So it's a pivot motion, but you never go past your center vein, is a good rule of thumb, because otherwise it starts getting a little crazy. Okay. But yeah, practice with watercolor and just some like newsprint paper. That works. Put food coloring in your water and just get your brush wet and just practice. And you can practice with food coloring, whether you're practicing banding or strokes or whatever, onto your bisque ware, and you can fire it back to bisque and it will fire off. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay. Are you going to put clear glaze over this piece? This piece, Marie, is an 010 firing. It's soft fired, so it was durable to take to retreats and shows when I was doing classes, leftovers. So I will fire it to 04 and then I will come back and clear glaze it. Okay. Now I'm going to show you an easy technique on this little flower. This is actually a flower that I put on a card recently. I think I showed that on Facebook. So I'm water loading my, this is the medium Sumi brush. I drag it off the side of my bowl till it doesn't have water. Make sure all the water is off the ferrule so it doesn't run down and cause you issues. I'm going to tip into Florida orange, and I'm using candy apple red 112. This is our 1 ounce bottle. This is our 2 ounce bottle, in case you're not familiar with them. So I know a lot of you got kits. So now that you play with some of the colors, you may want to go to the larger size, you know, after you know what colors you like. Okay. You're welcome. All right. So I'm going to put the orange to the outside of these petals. So once again, I'm going to tuck the color, sit it down, mush, 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 walk it one direction and walk it the other. And I'm going to reload. I rinsed, drug off. I'm going to get a little heavier with the orange. You could actually base coat these petals in, same way we did the leaves, in the orange, and then come back and do the shading with the red. You could do it the same exact way. Now, when you start high or mid-range firing, you guys call it, you need to go a little heavier with your color because you don't want it to burn out, okay? Especially pinks and purples. And this orange is on the lighter side also. See how you just keep fussing with it and keep going back and forth until you get it. We're going to put the red on the inside. So this can actually come halfway down if you want that watercolory type look. Now, the other thing you need to, like here I got outside my line, I can just take a damp brush that's clean and I can push it back and tell it to get back inside the fence. Okay. Water load, drag off the side of your water bowl to remove the excess water. Generous load. This is the medium Sumi. And I'm going to go over here to this one. And I'm constantly tucking that color where I want it. I wouldn't be working at it like this. You're going to see a line, okay? You need to aim the color where you want it. And you're more than welcome to send me pictures of something if you have any questions. I had a hair there. And I just stuck my finger in that. And it's easier for me to answer questions if you send the photograph. I can usually say, guess what? You had your brush turned the wrong way. Okay. I can pretty much tell by the photo. Okay, I'm going to rinse it. I'm going to go over to this other little one while that's drying. Sometimes you get so much water on it, you have to let it dry. This is kind of like a little, it could be a sweet pea kind of a vine. It's a Paula flower. I use that a lot. It's just whatever comes out of my head. So those of you that joined me later and you didn't see, the butterfly that I posted last night is my project that I'm gonna, a version of it, gonna share with you guys on Clay Share Day. So the pattern will be on the blog as it gets closer to time with general instructions. And then I will link the video of the Clay Share Day to that blog page so that if you need to go back and reference it, I try to do that with most of the lives so it makes it easier for you to find. Now, you can always switch to the small Sumi if you have a small area, like here, it was a little tight. I could have switched to the smaller brush. Remember, your pattern is a guide. It doesn't mean that you have to stay in that. But would I use this small Sumi on this large petal? No. The larger the brush, the softer the look. I don't care whose product you're doing or what technique, that rule applies. Larger the brush, the softer the look. You'll see less brush strokes by using a larger brush. See, I'm turning it as I'm going down this other side. Okay. And you can go back and add more if you want more on there. It just really depends on how far down you want that color. And I don't have any medium in this. Now, if you work really slow and you say, man, it's drying before I can actually get across that petal, then add that medium, the gloss medium, CSP01. You can add that to your color and it will extend. Remember, the word medium is an extender or opener. Okay, so what I'm talking about is the CSP01. Don't look at my messy bottle, um, which is the gloss medium. So that gives you longer open time. The word medium in the toll industry, the acrylic painting, means an extender and opener to allow you to work on it. Okay, so now I'm going to go with the red, still staying with the medium Sumi brush, water load, drag off to a point, tipping. That color got a little bit of an edge to it, so I had to break that open. Tuck that color in, sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Walk it to the right and walk it to the left. And if you feel like one is the medium brush is too big, you can switch to that smaller. Just be careful that you don't stay there too long with it because you don't want it to, you end up seeing lines. Now, as some of these get smaller, I think I'll switch because you've got a tighter area. You've got a smaller V that you're working in there. Tuck it in, sit it down, mush, mush, mush. If you think you have too much water on the brush, just blot it on the paper towel, pick up more color. I'm going to let that area dry, but I'm going to go over here and I'm kind of tucking it in to start, and then I'm sitting it down, mush, mush, mush. I want to make sure it's behind that petal. Same thing with this one. A lot of times I'll start in the middle of the area and walk it back and forth. Now this one I've got a little tiny crevice to get in, so I had to kind of paint it in. Tuck that one in there. Now, another thing that you can do if the water is not behaving, I'm just got a clean brush and water, and I'm just pushing that back. You can actually put the orange in your brush. Same thing I showed you with the green on the leaves. Shape that to a point, tip into your red, and now tuck that in. Let's see if this one is dry enough. And that way it gives you a little bit of the orange over the whole petal. You have to try and get the, oh, I've missed most of this. Oh, the internet. I know my internet is still acting not good. Someday I'll get better. I'm in the country and unfortunately, they're building all around me. And what's happening is they're putting too many people on one tower. And I tried to explain that to the guys that were out here, what was it, last week? And they really don't want to hear that from me. So I'm like, as a business owner, I'm telling you, you got to cut it off at some point. And of course, they're just doing their job. Okay. So you can have that orange on there. See, the orange is in my brush. So it's just going to add more orange to the petal. That's all. And I haven't rinsed or anything or went back into the orange. I'm just going back in here and I'm adding more. And yes, I'm using the small, so I'm being very careful that I'm not going to end up with a lot of lines. And the key to this is, watch me here. You're constantly bouncing. I'm not doing this because when you lift it off the piece, you get literally marks. But if you bounce it along, you're blending that into whatever's on the brush. So it makes a huge difference. See, if you go like that, you're getting tracks. But if you're blending and bouncing, you're not. Hopefully that helps too. Sometimes it's the little things. Yeah, thank God for replays. I agree. Um, it's the little things that maybe hopefully I don't forget to say, but sometimes it comes so natural to people that we do forget to say some of those simple things. I'm going to draw that in a little bit there and brighten up. I'm going to wipe that off with my clean brush in a minute. Okay. Now this plate is not the best. This is a cast plate. There's some lines within the slip. It's just one that I had in storage and I thought we'd give it a try. I need to get rid of a bunch of this, so it's good to practice and demo on. I grabbed some more orange back into that red. I'm going to go back up here and touch that again. Now I can tell you that it's going to blend better if you have the gloss medium in it, but you don't have to have it. And what happens is the gloss is a glaze, so it ends up grabbing and kind of drying on there. I am a retired teacher, was teaching when COVID erupted on, this is Eddie, on us. The internet company here in Beaverton, Wyoming added 2 new towers for the kids. That's awesome to do the Zooms. My granddaughter did not like the whole Zoom thing. I don't know, it made them kind of lazy, I think, but I think they need the interaction. But so I'm going to go back here and just add a little bit of orange there where I see some lines. All right, so then you would switch to your liner brush and always wet your brush, blot it. And again, I'm going to use my 3600 number 2. It's Kolinsky liner. And I'm going to grab some of the light and actually some of that dark. I can just add some water to what's here to kind of blend those 2 colors together. Drag it through so you get a nice point. That was one of the other, they said, you know, how do you get such a fine edge? This liner brush is definitely a game changer. You don't want to teach Zoom ever again. It is challenging, and well, I'm sure with multiple kids, that kind of thing. I mean, I enjoyed it. I've done some webinars. That's how I do my webinars, is on Zoom. So when you're using a liner brush, make sure that you've added enough water to the product that it's going to flow off freely, because you don't want it thick, remember. And then get a nice point on it. See the point to the brush? Okay. I want you to see my palette loading, otherwise I would come closer on the camera. And I'm using my pinky to steady myself so I can move my brush. Remember, a brush stroke is color, the amount of pressure you put down, and the motion that you flow that brush. Okay, so this is just another stem going into that one. And then we'll bring this one off of here. And I'm constantly turning. Now you're not going to be able to see that one as much because it's in the dark area. And I'm going to wait on this. I'll show you with another brush how to do that one. Okay. So hopefully this helps. I'm trying to remember who I was talking to today. I don't know if they're on here. You know, and we all learn by hearing, seeing, and doing. So you can watch these over and over, which is nice. Because sometimes it's like, I know I do that when I'm trying to learn something new. And it's like, I don't remember that. And the next time you watch it, it's like, okay, yeah, I got it. So constantly loading so that flows freely. Remember, the pattern is just a guide. I'm grabbing some more water, a little bit of color. And sometimes I'll even rinse my brush after mixing with my brush. This one, I think I'm okay. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up one side. Now you can pull in, and you can do multiple coats. I have a project out there called the Purple Flower. It is on the free projects on the website. And I can bring up the website here in a minute and kind of show you some navigation because sometimes that's people don't know where to find things. If you wanted side veins on these, you could pull those in. I'm not going to do that on the smaller ones, but you could on the larger. Just be consistent with what you do. They don't all have to look the same, but they do need to. And I just did that one. Yeah, I did it right. The opposite. Sometimes I do things one way and then I do it another way. So think of this. When you're doing your outlining, start from where it grows from, okay? So it's growing from the stem out. So that's the way all of your strokes should be, from the stem out. Does that make sense? And that may be something that maybe somebody has never told you. Another little trick is you could outline your leaves with this green mix to give you kind of make you feel comfortable outlining, and then you can go back and accent with black if you want to do that. I do that quite often. And I think that's more because that's just the way I teach. And then that way the students feel more comfortable. You've done it once, so now it's going to be in black. So you've had a practice run, so to speak. And I'm just barely touching on the tippy toe of the brush. Just barely touching. When you do these ripply ones, you're actually putting the veins in there. So you don't necessarily need it, but you should follow the veining that you have there if you're going to do it. Now, if you want curly cues, you can add those also. So I think what we'll do is come over here and just add one here. Same brush. Make sure that's fluid. Make sure it's nice and thinned. Pull, lift up on the turn, lift up on the turn, and then you can press down. So thicker, I pressed down. Thinner, I was on the tippy toe. So I'm just going back and filling in some areas. Constantly turning my piece, making it comfortable. I'm going to bring one right here. It comes down in. So this is just made up out. I just sketched this on here before we started. I'm just kind of making it up as I go. All right. What do you think? Not too bad. Any questions about what I've done so far? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm going to switch to a round brush. This is our Bavarian Round. It's the 500 series, number 3. The Bavarian rounds are a little bit different than a normal round. They have more of a rounded tip to them. You don't have to fight the points. That's the only difference. The original owner of Paula Brush Company, before I bought it, used to make these by hand. She is a German master brush maker. I do not make them by hand. Okay, so I'm going to just come in here with that green mix, just with the little larger brush to fill in that stem. So same thing here, but I'm going down to where I already had the line. And I'm going to pick up some full strength and just press and lift, press and lift. Okay, so watch, press, pull, and lift to a point. Okay, so I'm going to press, pull, and lift. This has got a nice curve inside, so it's a little more difficult than just on a flat. Let's bring another one out here. Okay. Every time I try to do the curly cues, mine turn out looking like lightning. Okay, so just, you have to practice it. That is for sure. I don't know if I've got a piece of paper. I'm looking. Okay, so like I said, just take you some color, thin it down. It's really the proper consistency and the brush. Okay, I'm going to try to stay above it so you can see. You got to start with that point. So you press down, but when you come in the curve, you have to lift it up. See how tiny that, you can't see that. Let me zoom in. Okay, so how tiny it is when I go into the curve. I'm going to do this thicker so you can see it. Press, pull, lift, and then come back down. See the difference there, Marie? Hopefully that helps you. And it does just take practice. And do mine turn out the right way all the time? Absolutely not. It's just, it takes practice. But this brush would definitely, because you can go on and on and on with it. And if you can, okay, here's another little trick. If you can't do the curl, don't worry about it. Just start and press and then lift and just kind of wiggle back and forth like that. And that works just fine. You're faking them out that you're doing it and you're not doing it. Okay, so just try that until you get it down. So just press and lift. Every time you press down, you get a thicker line, and you can just wiggle and go different directions, and it works great. Okay, hopefully that helps. Another little tip and trick. All right, let's outline. Now this is going to be very, I'm going to remove, I've got a hair that was on there. We're going to outline with black. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Do you have to? No. You could leave it. You could outline with red on those petals if you wanted. I just like black. That's just me. So I'm going to put, this is the CC 101 Cobalt Black. I'm going to go over to my water bowl and bring just a brush load of water, a couple of them, and I'm just thinning one corner. I'm not thinning the whole pile of color. There's no reason. It's going to evaporate, okay? So you're pulling long lines so that, I forgot I zoomed in, sorry about that. You're just pulling long lines to coat the hairs, okay, is what you're doing. Hey, Mr. Larson, I'm late. Jenny is not here tonight. She has had a tough week at work, and I told her to take the time off. She's been very gracious with me and helping me. So I'm just doing a ceramic plate, just showing some basic leaves and application. So I'm going to come in here and still, I'm not going to do my side veins, but I am going to do the center vein, and then I'm going to accent just on the side. And I like to accent just in a wavy motion, so that if I do get out of line or off the color, nobody's going to notice it, hopefully. Okay. So still do my center, and I've got my dark color over on this side of that small leaf, so I would only put the other side with my black. Okay, so center and black, because on the smaller ones it would be too much black. So Mr. Den, do you have any questions for me tonight? That's kind of what I started out with, and somebody had asked about leaves, and I started showing this little plate that I kind of just sketched out. So let me know if you do, or anybody else. Okay. So I'm going to do the center vein, press. Now, if for some reason maybe you get too thick, like right there, I did that on purpose. See how much heavier that line is? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to make one of these lines heavy. And the reason I do that is so that my eye doesn't draw myself to that area. I even out the surface that I'm working on and make it all look like it was supposed to be that way. That's kind of a little cheater's way to do it. Okay. And just a wavy line. That way you don't have to be perfect and straight. I'm going to move this back over here. Any questions about what I've done or am doing right now? You just love watching me. Well, thank you. I actually had a headache all day, and I need to get my leg up. This is not fun, this stuff, guys. It could take me anywhere from 2 to 6 months to heal, and that is a long time for me to not run at the pace that I normally run at. I'm trying to be a good girl. All right, so then on this stem, just single, I'm going to go just one side. This is that bulb area, so I'm going to put a few more lines on it. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back around because I like to pull these strokes towards me. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a wave. Remember, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect and on the line. I gave that up many years ago. I am a perfectionist, but I tried to be looser with what I do. It definitely makes it go quicker. Constantly turn your piece to make it comfortable for you. Don't try to go in at it at a different direction. It needs to, 95% of the time, I bring my strokes towards me. Constantly moving the piece. And I think that's probably the most common thing I see is people will leave it sitting and they'll try to do everything as they're working on it. It's not practical. And you can tell that you've done that. And I will be able to tell if you ask me a question. No more questions, guys? You guys are being awful quiet. Okay. And I can put this, I can sketch a pattern out and put it up on the website. Oops, look at what I did. I did 2 sides on that one instead of 1. Shame on me. I broke my own rule. Shame, shame, shame. Constantly anchor with your pinky. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's in your glass painting or on your ceramics. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit, just sketchy on that stem. No questions, guys? Constantly turn. Now, of course, bisque is hard on your brushes. You could also put an underglaze down first and then an opaque underglaze and then come in and do your color decoration. That would make it a lot of times I will base coat with a white and do my decoration on top just because it's easier on your brushes. So follow the line. So see, my orange kind of went out a little further than what my sketch was on there with the pencil. So I'm just going to follow whatever lines I ended up doing with my brush. I'm trying to turn this so that you can see it and see the amount of pressure. There's not a lot of pressure down on there. Now, you could put lines of black, but this is the outside of the flower. Most of your stamen lines are going to be on the inside of flowers. So if you wanted more detail, I'm just rinsing and oh, you can't see. Let me back off a little bit. Every time you rinse your brush, if you're changing colors, make sure and blot it on the paper towel to make sure that color is out of there. See, I've still got black showing up. So I'm constantly, okay, now it's clean. So I could come in here with the red. I'm going to grab some water and just slightly thin that down. Coat that. And I could come in with red here just to give me a little more definition. And if you do that, make them different lengths. This would be like some veining that would be in the petals itself. So I'm just going back over, putting multiple lines in there. Does it blend as well if you do it on greenware plate? What happens with the colors in your Sumi shading, like I was doing here, is it can grab to the greenware and stick right there, Marie. So this is not as porous as the greenware, but it does react similar. So you may have to work at it a little harder. I think for those of you that are doing cone 5, cone 6, just take it to bisque and then use your medium with it. I think that'll work really well for you till you kind of get the feel for it. Okay. So I'm just constantly loading. And you want to follow the shape of your petal. Okay. Follow the shape. And see, they're already drying so much that you can't even see where I've been, but they're going to show up whenever it's fired. Okay. This may be a few days before I get this fired because I have to wait till I've got a full load. I only have multiple sizes of kilns, but my ceramic kiln is one great big 27-inch Paragon. So I don't like to fire it until I get quite a few pieces ready. Okay. Oh, I should get that piece out that I did the other night. I forgot to glaze. Okay, so just nice fine lines, multiple lengths. And see, like I said, you can't even see these over here. I mean, you could go back and put some more if you want, but they're there. And I'm going to show you how you can tell. So we're going to clean our brush, blot it to make sure that color is out. Remember our trusty mister bottle? This just has regular water in it. I'm going to make sure it's, now watch what happens. It's going to show you the colors, how they're going to pop, and you'll be able to see those lines, okay? So that is what it's going to look like when it's fired. Kind of cool. So that's kind of a way of testing it, I call it. Okay. I just got water all over. Any questions on what I did? And Den forgot to tell me I forgot to sign it. So make sure it's not wet. I like to hide my signature in a leaf, and I'm doing it with that same brush. And this does take practice that I detailed with. The more downward strokes that you have, the easier it's going to be. If you can figure out how to do that on whatever your signature is, whether it's, just your initials. Okay, there it is. All right, so you could put red dots in the background. You can do an edge. Remember, if you're going to do it, I think red would be great for the edge. And I had a turntable here earlier. I don't know what I did with it. Okay. So let me get some more red out. This is just a 1-inch foam brush. Some of that red was a little dried up there because it's been sitting out there a while. What did I do with my, oh, there it is. Hold on. Let me grab it. Just a lazy Susan, turntable, banding wheel, something when you're doing your edge. This will give you a nice professional edge. So there's a triangle on the, don't get the ones with the red handles that have like a black piece of foam. It's very coarse. I like these cheaper ones. So where the triangle is, there's a hard piece in here. You want to stay just on that end. Okay. So when you're touching your piece, you want it to be right in the middle, and you're just aiding and turning it with the wheel. So you're only staying, I think you can kind of see the mark in my sponge there. Okay. So that way we apply the same amount of pressure. So I'm just going to press it along, turn, and you'll have to do multiple coats. This would work with anything. You could do it with a glaze even if you wanted to. Just gives you, you can do it on a round plate, oval, star shape, it doesn't matter. The wheel just aids you in turning the piece. So a couple coats, let it dry, whoops, and then add more onto it. Okay. All right. Oops. What's the oops for, Den? That you forgot to tell me to put my name on it? Or did you want me to sign your name? Did I sign the wrong name? That would be something you would say. Okay. Hopefully this helps you with some basic leaves, some different options of doing leaves, and maybe one of those ways will work for you. Okay. All right. So let me go back up here. Hi there. And, okay. All right. So hopefully that helps you. Does anybody need for me to show the website and navigate a couple of things on there? Would that help you? If it will, just let me know. Actually, I can pop it up here. Oh, right, meaning I was supposed to sign your name. You're funny. Oh my gosh, you're funny. Okay, so see here. Here's the website. Okay, so let me see if I can hide myself. Thank you, Den. All right, I'm back on here. Hopefully that helps navigate a little bit to show you. Okay, hopefully I'm back on. Sorry, I was switching screens. All right, guys, I am going to sign off. I need to go get ice on my leg, and I will see you next week, hopefully. And yeah, because next week is not clay share, it's the following week, I think. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining me. Take care, have a safe week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.